Coming to you live from the Behind the Mind studios. I'm your host, Cheston Smith, here with the one and only
Samuel Pickett.
Samuel, what are we about to do today?
We're about to go behind the minds on the second episode.
Are we ever? We just finished the second episode, and what do you have to say about it?
Wow.
Well, thanks. You're so kind. Sam has already watched the episode and he's took plenty of notes. He's here to analyze it for you and ask the questions that you want to know. I'll be explaining the creative decisions behind making the game and also the editing decisions behind the episode. Then we'll be giving away the award for the player of the episode. After that, I'll deep dive with a special cast member from the episode in a segment I like to call 1 year later, discussing where their life is at now, post Battle of the Best. And finally, some deleted scenes, clips that couldn't make it into the episode here just for you to see. And it goes without saying, spoiler alert, if you have not watched this week's episode of Battle of the Best, you're about to be spoiled. 3, 2, 1, let's go Behind the Mind. I think it's my favorite episode personally because we got to clearly see how a plan starts and ends, with it starting with Briar and morphing to this amazing blindside on Edgar. What was your thought process of just watching all that play out?
Well, after having seen 2 episodes, I can definitely say it's in my top 2. But watching this episode go from, the immediate reactions to Abigail being voted out, it's honestly like watching a spy flick. There's all this intrigue, and there's these double crosses and blindsides, and I know the plan, but the plan's this, or the plan's that. Watching the cast go from point A to point B, and then looping around to point number 4, it's intriguing. And I think this episode, it will do a really good job of keeping the viewers in the loop.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. So, what were some of the highlights that you picked up from the episode?
Starting out, we see the answers to our cliffhanger. What was Peyton's decision? He was asked, can you read the room? Can he accurately guess what's going home? He got dangled something not a lot of people will try to pass up on, is a brand new, never-before-seen advantage.
Yeah, you put the new sticker on something and all of a sudden it's a hot commodity. He doesn't get the advantage. And I'm sure that the people at home want to know what the advantage is that he would have received. And they won't have to guess for long because later on, that advantage that Peyton would have gotten will reemerge at a different place in a different time.
Moving along, we see our second challenge. Everyone's gathered in a circle, and above their heads, they had to balance 2 bricks.
Yeah. With a cup in the middle.
And for a little additional twist, everyone was blindfolded.
Right.
What led to the decision for blindfolding as well as something else? I understand it wanting to be a handicap, but there was other ways it could have been a handicap. It could have been stand on one leg or...
Right. It's a great question. So the main intention for this round is I want to continually be changing the dynamic at the losing camp. Obviously out the gate with Silverback losing the first member immediately. So now they're down 3 members and all the other tribes have 4. If we were to just play a straightforward game of Survivor, they're going to lose another member and another member. They're going to get picked off 4-3 every time. But this isn't a straightforward game of Survivor. I specifically designed it this way in order for the dynamic to be constantly fresh and for anyone to go at any time, and also to avoid best friends ganging up on people. So the rule was established that the first 2 people from each tribe to drop out of this challenge will go to the losing camp, which means at the losing camp there's going to be 2 orange, 2 silver, 2 green, 2 pink. So it's going to be very open of who's going to go home. And the best way to decide of who those losing people were going to be fairly, for me, the decision I came to was by blindfolding. Because if you can see who's losing, then you know that you just throw the challenge to your friends. You could cross-communicate and say, I'll throw the challenge if you throw the challenge, if they throw the challenge, and then all of a sudden you're going into tribal council with your 5 best friends and you decide who's going home. So the best way for me to avoid the players controlling who went to the losing camp and controlling the vote was to blindfold them all.
The other thing about blindfolding is added a bit of balance.
Yeah, it definitely made the challenge more difficult by blindfolding them.
And everyone's separated into their 2 tribes, 2 camps. We send them off on their way, and I would like to take this moment to talk about Cole. I have the utmost respect for him because he's a fighter. Cole came to this knowing he was going to be at a bit of a disadvantage, but he wanted to be there anyways. And he was going to do his best. Cole had to make the tough and unfortunate decision to bow out. Not for any selfish reasons. I know for a lot of hosts and a lot of producers, a player just choosing to leave is generally considered a bad move. From my perspective, and I want to know if this is a perspective shared by you, who've worked so hard on this, it's my perspective that Cole choosing to make this decision now, instead of putting himself at risk and possibly affecting the rest of the game, I feel like he made the best choice he could. So I wanted to hear your perspective on this.
I think Cole was being selfish, and he honestly was a little bit arrogant, and for him to put him to do that to me was just complete. No, I'm just kidding. I can't hold it in. No, of course. I totally understand. Cole knows how much he means to me, and it meant a lot that Cole was even willing to go out there and give it a shot and try. And I know that he was so gung-ho to play, getting to talk to him, leading up to the event, doing the contract signing. I know how badly he wanted to play, how much he wanted it, how much he was looking forward to it. And he went out there and he gave it all that he could, and he left nothing behind. I am not mad at him whatsoever. I am extremely proud of him. I only do wish that he would have said something to me sooner, so that maybe I could have given him a ride back and forth from the camp to the lake, because it's a very long walk, and I don't think anyone would have minded. I just am so proud of Cole for going out there and giving it hell. And maybe there's other people out there that are mad that Cole left when he did. Maybe Abby has hurt feelings about it. Maybe she doesn't. I'm not sure. But I think what everyone needs to keep in mind is that Cole did what he could for as long as he could, and he never went out there with the intention of screwing over anyone, whether it was players, production, hosts, cast and crew, nobody. Cole went out there to play the game until he couldn't any longer. And the thing that he didn't think about, and that I didn't even know to consider, was that his prosthesis would be so affected by uneven gravel, and how walking on rocks and sticks and stuff just makes it so much more unbearable to do anything with. I applaud Cole for giving it a shot, and I don't think that's something that he counted on either. And maybe if the whole season was shot on a solid slab of concrete, he would have been able to do the whole thing, but that wasn't the case, and so he did what he could do for as long as he could do it, and I'm so proud of him. And I'm proud of him for making the responsible decision to get out there before he had long-term effects.
While this was going on, of course, we see...
Was that a heartbreaking scene for you, by the way? I tried to make it as heartbreaking as I could.
Oh, I died on the inside all over again.
Yeah, I that was the hardest scene to edit for the entire series, actually. Was Cole leaving. That was so difficult to get right, and I don't even know if I did it right at the end of the day, but that scene changed so many times because I was like, no, it's not good enough. I'm not giving the scene enough time for the audience to feel the impact of this, and this feels too cheesy, and I don't know, the way that it ended up, it felt like as good as I could do. So
I mean, it brought forth the same feelings in me as when Rose wouldn't move, so Jack could get on the door as well in the Titanic.
That's what I was going for, actually.
Just pure heartbreak.
Yeah.
However, while this was going on, people were still making their moves.
Yeah.
People were still setting things up for the future, and we really see that with Ryan.
Yeah, we see an interesting conversation between Ryan and Kirk.
Ryan is making moves. Ryan is setting things up.
She already has her target sort of locked in on a few bullseyes. Nate, Mason, Peyton, Ronnie, and Gabe. She thinks that they'll stick together, and if the 5 of them make merge, it's game over. So she's trying to get some of them eliminated as quickly as possible, and Kirk seems to be on board for that as well. Like you said, Ryan, even though she's in the winning camp right now, we're about to go into the next challenge, but she's in the winning camp. She's already trying to play the game and is thinking ahead.
That's the way you've got to play the game. You don't just make your moves at the losing camp. You don't just make your moves at merge. You lay the groundwork. You start setting things up. Whenever you're at the winning camp, everyone's all loosey-goosey. Everyone's happy. They're in a good mood. They're safe. They're vulnerable.
Yeah.
And they're honest.
That's what I always say, too. I want to maximize my immunities. And I think that that's what Ryan was going for here by maximizing her immunity. She was planning for the future and how, when, if she ever gets to a tribal council, she'll have a plan in place already.
And this next challenge was very near and dear to my heart because I think it is the one that we tested the most out of all of the challenges in the entire Battle of the Best.
Yeah.
And it was the box counting.
The box.
The box.
And we see another interesting twist on how things are going to play out. So the players were told that there's only going to be 4 pairs running the challenge, 1 from each tribe, and that's going to determine who's safe and who's not. But come to find out, they were trolled, they were lied to, and each pair is going to be competing against each other, with the winner of the pair going and having immunity going to the winning camp, and the loser of the pair going to tribal council.
And another thing that was done in this challenge is everyone was kept in the shadows, because after the first 2 pairs went, the next pair was brought in.
Right, not knowing who won and lost from a previous pair.
And they ran the challenge as well, under the same rules. It was a bit more into the voodoo. It was, we were taking the themes from previous games and mixing it together. And in this one, we mixed quite a few. What led to this challenge in particular having so many little twists, so many little turns? What was it about challenge number 3 that made you decide, I'm going to step up the mental game?
So for this round, it was difficult to decide and to land on how I was going to coordinate the challenge. I knew that I couldn't go back to just having tribe v tribe, because either 2 tribes had 3 members and 2 tribes had 4, or we have the scenario that we have now. Everyone has 4 tribes, but 1 tribe has 2. So they're down by half, the silverback tribe is. So this challenge, I had to plan around that scenario as well. I knew that I also couldn't do a repeat of the challenge that we did before, of just blindfolding them. I wanted to keep it fresh, and I also wanted to make it unpredictable and keep it fair as well, as best as I could. And so instead of just keeping them in the shadows by blindfolding the players and making them uncertain of who's going to council, I just threw a troll twist at them and made them pick their 2 best players to represent their tribe for immunity. And then the old bait and switch, surprise, the 2 best are actually going to go against each other. 1 person's going to be safe. And this also ensured that at the losing camp, there wouldn't be like 4 members of the same tribe at the losing camp.
Once the first pairs were over and done, and they went off to their respective locations, we get a little run-in with Dylan. And he's talking about who he trusts, who he doesn't.
Turns out there's a lot that he doesn't.
But he specifies the person that he considered to be the person who he trusted the most. And shock to me, that was Edgar.
Yeah, he brought up a really good reason why it was Edgar as well. You know, with Edgar coming into this with a blank slate, and is very logical approach on Dylan's behalf.
Unlike a majority of our cast of Battle of the Best, Edgar is an out-of-towner. So latching on to Edgar and earning his trust would be a very big move on anyone's part.
Yeah.
And it seemed like Dylan was really the only person picking up on that at that time.
And then not only that, but to then also make like this Final Four alliance with Dylan and Edgar, and then Shelby and Jacus, like for them to all be working together, that's going to be pretty formidable. So it's a good thing they got Edgar out when they did.
Shelby also dips in. She tells us her master plan. Her and Edgar, as well as Dylan and Jacus, had made a Final Four. Inadvertently, Shelby and Jacus were on the same tribe. They'd gone along well, got to know each other. And at the same time, on the other side, Edgar and Dylan were at the same camp. And they were getting along famously. And they were making these exact same deals with each other. It was just...
I didn't plan for that to happen either. Like, I racked my brain, and you know this, of how to separate the tribes as fair as possible, you know, to have enough really good challenge people that are athletic for each tribe, enough puzzlers, one for each tribe, enough females for each tribe. I try to make it all as balanced as well as best as I could. Maybe that was always going to happen and I just overlooked it. But at the same time, you know, like, who could have predicted that Jacobs would have scooped up Shelby and not someone else, you know, like Cameron or Mason. And I'm surprised that Nate didn't try to scoop in Edgar. You know, Nate was really great about working with people that had no connection, so he really wanted to work with Taylor and with Kirk, but why throw away Edgar? You know, Edgar kind of falls under that umbrella, and he's a winner just like you are.
That's definitely something I thought about. It did seem a little strange to me. Nate almost seemed adverse to the thought of it. Working with Edgar brings along some baggage, and that's working with Shelby. Even before the challenge is over, a decision's been made. Briar, you're on the chopping block. Mm-hmm. Sorry, bud. However, another decision is attempted.
Yeah, Shelby decides to try to take the head off the dragon.
Shelby decides this is the time to take on Kirk.
She knows that he needs to go. She knows a lot of people want him to go, but she also mistakenly believes that he has an idol in his fanny pack. And she's wanting to loot his body to vote him out, so then this idol that she thinks he has will then transfer to her possession. So now Shelby would have an idol. There was no idol, but now there is a plan in place to get Kirk out. And it seems like Shelby, Edgar, Cameron, and Ronnie are on board for it.
Edgar goes to Taylor.
Edgar goes to Taylor and makes the mistake of the game. So far, this was the biggest mistake. The mistake of the first round, I guess, could have been Abby not clarifying to Mason, I'll trust you beyond a vote. You know, she said to Mason, I'll trust you for this vote, or whatever she said that turned Mason off. This was, I think that it just goes to show you how trusting Edgar can be, maybe how trusting Taylor appears to be, and you never know what you're giving to the enemy, and you don't even know that they're your enemy until it is too late and how they're going to spin it. This is something I myself have had to learn in Survivor games, of if you want a plan to go a certain way, you don't tell anybody. And yeah, you're leaving people out and you're blindsiding them or whatever, but at the end of the day, if they want to be your ally, they'll get over it, because more often than not, as soon as you tell your ally about it, there's a reason why you weren't going to tell them to begin with. It's because you were afraid that they would flip it. And what I see more and more is when you do tell the person who you want to keep in goods with by going against their decision and making this plan, as soon as you tell them, they're going to flip it. And that's what we see here. We see Edgar tell Taylor to stay in goods with her after tribal council, and she flips it. And now the plan is not Briar, it's Shelby. And surprise, Briar, Shelby's throwing your name out there. So now we have Taylor, Kirk, and Briar writing down Shelby's name. But they know that isn't enough. They got to get another person to flip. Who do they get?
They go for the middle ground man. Ronnie, being that middle ground man, now wields soul power.
Exactly. They approach Ronnie with the idea, and Ronnie ultimately has the decision of, I like Shelby. She's proven to be honest. She's proven to be a loyal player. I think I can utilize her deeper into the game as well. I don't want to get rid of Shelby, but if Shelby loses her number one ally, that's going to bring her closer to me. And so Ronnie then pitches the idea that we don't see on camera, but obviously we can deduce that he did, to do Edgar. And it's a surprise blindside at Tribal Council when we see not Shelby's name get flipped over, but Edgar's name.
Complete and total blindside for everyone involved. But that's the nature of the game.
And imagine if Edgar had never said anything to Taylor, I think that this plan would have went through.
If Edgar had not said anything to Taylor, Kirk goes home, Taylor loses her number one.
Yeah.
And who does that bring her closer to?
Edgar, because she wouldn't have a choice. She would be kind of, hurt because she was left out of the vote. It would have been a blindside on her because at that point she was led to believe it was going to be Briar. So maybe it pulls her closer to Briar, but I don't think she would trust Edgar 100%. But what choice does she have? She has to stay pink strong. She's going to stay closer to Nate. She's going to have no choice but to stay on Edgar's good side. That gives Edgar and Shelby power. So yeah.
And that may have been what pulled Nate in with Shelby and Edgar. That truly could have been a pivotal moment that rewrote the game as it was.
Yeah.
Was your intent with bringing Taylor and Kirk in to be two complete wild cards?
Yeah.
For the game.
Yeah, it was definitely for sure my intention, is because I wanted to bring in these two unknown factors that, I mean, Shelby and Edgar, they could be considered kind of unknown factors because no one at Battle of the Best ever had an interaction with them. Nobody, because their season was secret, and then it was just a surprise release on YouTube 2 months before the game. So everyone knew who Shelby and Edgar was. They had never had a conversation with Shelby and Edgar. These guys, Taylor and Kirk, I wanted to make wild cards in that they're quote unquote professionals that have traveled all over the country and Canada to play all these different games and have played with some of the best in the world. Another thing is that there was only 6 winners in the game, and I wanted to give the winners something additional to sort of latch onto and make the game more complicated. Instead of us starting the game and then immediately the winners are targeted and let's just bang them out, bang, 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 because I literally put on the back of their shirt, winner. Instead, now we have these 2 wild cards where maybe because they're professionals, they join the winners, and now it's tied 8-8. Or maybe now the winners can use someone like Kurt Carlson as a shield, and now all of a sudden they're not targeted first, Kirk is. So it makes the game more open and random and unpredictable and fun and fair. I think that it worked better than I could have even imagined it to. And the next question is probably, why did you put winner on the back of their shirt? Well, there's a statistic that I don't think a lot of people know, where a winner of a series, if they get to the end of the game in that series again, there is no proof that they lose again. So if a former winner of Survivor BC gets to the end of the game and they've won before, they're going to win again. Like, there's no example of that happening, of a Survivor Durant winner getting to the end and then them losing. They're Reelfoot, Survivor Michigan, Maryland, look at all these examples. There is nothing that you can show that happens. And I also wanted to put out there that, hey, the biggest issue with making Battle of the Best is there's a bunch of friends playing the game together. The main issue with that, the main friends, happen to be like 4 of the 6 winners, but I can't single them out. So let's include the other winners that are also playing in this. So that way people remember they're best friends. You can't trust them that they're going to play a fluid game like you're supposed to in a game of Survivor. Maybe I should have just left it alone and leave it be and let the chips fall where they may, and not have put it as on spotlight and make it as known that these guys are super friends and these people know each other. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. But then I think we would have gotten a much more boring, safe game. And that is not what I spent all of my time, money, and effort into making.
You also didn't just do that for the winners. You put it out there for everyone. You put it out there that Shelby and Edgar were married. All information available on everyone was put out there. You didn't single anyone out, so that everyone had all the knowledge and ability to sharpen their weapons, so to speak. In Survivor, your weapon is your social game. Your shield is your challenge game. But your weapon is how well you can manipulate, pull, and build your alliances with your teammates. That is your weapon in Survivor.
And I would say that going into Battle of the Best, my biggest fear was that it was just going to be pointless, and that the friends are going to just stick together. The game is going to be so predictable. Like, we know how it's going to go down. They're going to go the safe route. That isn't what I wanted to sign up for. That wasn't how I wanted my all-star game to go. Like, what is the freaking point of even doing it if we know who the final 5 is going to be? So the whole point of everything that I did, twists, challenges, losing camp, winning camp, winner on the back of the shirt, bringing in these professionals, the whole point of everything was to make the game as open as I possibly could and unpredictable, so that my time wasn't wasted.
Kudos to you. I remember I was only brought in at the tail end, but I can remember countless sleepless nights between the both of us going over the cast list, going over the tribes, and thinking over ways that we could make it as open-ended as possible. I would like to say that bringing Kirk in, though, led to one of the best viewing things I've ever seen, and that's Fierce Kirk talking about Shelby going after him with that snap.
Yeah. And I will, spoiler alert, I will say that Fierce Kirk will be back.
So, after endless twists and turns, attempted backstabs, and blindsides, we get to our tribal council. Some people think they know how it's going to go. Others have different plans. As we start calling people up, we learn the shifting vote topic. Who do you not want to assist other teams during the next game?
Yeah, who do you not want to help another tribe? So strangely worded, isn't it? It's like, what does that mean exactly? This isn't as straightforward as pick who you want to leave tribal council.
It's almost a completely open-ended question, but is there, I'm assuming, some kind of meaning behind how it was worded?
Yes, there is a meaning behind how the shifting vote topic was worded. And you won't understand it, and I don't think the players even understood it, what that meant exactly, until you see what happens next in the game. I'm sure everyone was like, Shelby's not helping another tribe. What does that mean? Like, she's only supposed to help her tribe anyway. Like, so I'm sure everyone like had their own questions as to what was going on. But when you see episode 3, within the first 10 minutes, you're going to understand immediately what that shifting vote topic meant.
Well, that definitely means we'll have to tune in once again.
Yeah, always making sure there's a cliffhanger for you guys to tune in next week. So you've been blindsided before, so I was gonna ask you how is Shelby feeling in this moment with Edgar going home?
I'm sure in that moment Shelby was feeling a mix of fear, anxiety, and adrenaline. But I think above all else, she was pissed because her whole master plan thrown out the window, and now she has to think of something else, and she has to.
And not only that, she gets the shifting vote topic majority votes of she's the person that can't help another tribe, whatever that means. So that's another thing that's going through her mind is, holy crap, like I just got blindsided, I'm on the bottom, and now I'm handicapped in a way, I can't help another tribe. Like, she has to be pretty scared and mad, and she probably will think that she's going home next.
I guess we'll have to find out.
I'll have to find out.
But now, it's time to award our player of the episode.
Who would you say was the player of the episode?
I would say the player of the episode was TSL, Taylor.
Really?
For Taylor, she went from, not really being a major player in the first episode, her tribe won immunity.
Yeah, why would she need to be?
But to this episode, it really speaks to her, honestly, mob boss kind of mentality with this game, that she was all gung-ho for one person, and in the moment somebody even whispers her closest ally's name, it's no. We're taking them out, forget all our other plans, you, and you're going with me, we're getting this person out.
That's true, but at the same time, it was all on Ronnie. Like, Ronnie was the swing vote, it was his decision. Breyer, Taylor, Kirk, they were trying to get Ronnie to do Shelby with them. And Ronnie put his foot down and said, no, I'm not voting Shelby. And if I'm going to flip, this is who I'm going to flip to do, is Edgar. So Ronnie got to make that choice of Edgar. And Taylor was just like, hey, that ain't Kirk. Let's do it.
Yes, Ronnie was the swing vote, but in any election where swing vote is what will make or break it, it really comes down to the ones trying to pull that swinger to really seal the deal.
That's a good point. Sam, thank you so much again for going behind the mind of breaking down the second episode of Battle of the Best. Is there anything else that you want to say?
Thank you again for having me, and thank you to all the viewers for joining us behind the mind.
Now we're going to go into another segment where I go behind the mind with another player.
Here we are live with... Here we are live with the one and only, the host for this week's 1 Year Later segment, the legendary, the original winner. What is your name?
The one-legged bastard?
Yeah, that's it. Cole Brentz, everybody. Cole Brentz is in the house. We are talking, this is post Battle of the Best, 1 year later. You're still alive.
Yeah.
I just have to make sure that the audience knows that no one died from this event, or I guess since the event. And
I think we're all alive.
currently, God willing, And what does your life look like right now, Cole?
My life, crazy as hell, boy. Well, right now I am moving house and moving jobs. I got a new position at a different company that I'm really excited about. I no longer work where I used to work. I am moving to also assist my grandmother living at home and just seeing where the next chapter in my life takes me, man.
A lot of changes in your life
A
coming up.
lot of changes, a lot of unknown about the future, but sometimes that's the most exciting time. I feel like I just got done with a season of my life working at Choctaw, living in Durant, and now that season is kind of coming to an end, and when seasons end, another season starts. Spring turns into fall, fall turns into winter, and this is just a different season for me.
I also noticed that you're super tatted now.
The position I left was good for my wallet, but bad for everything else in my life. So instead of going to therapy, I got tattoos.
You do look like a walking piece of art. It's pretty cool. You made it to the second round of Battle of the Best, day 2. What do you remember about the game? What was going through your mind before you had to quit? You know, you were going to the losing camp. You were in the same camp as Mason, Breyer, Ryan. Ronnie was there. You know, you just kind of double-crossed Ronnie in the previous vote because you voted with all the green team. Mm-hmm. Cameron was at the losing camp, as well as Taylor. So a lot of faces that you also haven't gotten to communicate with. What was your plan going into the second round? Who would you have targeted, and who would you wanted to have worked with?
I would have ended up working with Breyer. The thing that I wanted a Final Four with myself, Breyer, Dylan Lemons, and Jacobs Hull. Past that, I don't know what would have happened. It would have been every man for themselves probably. But I wanted that Final Four, so I would have worked with Breyer. I would have tried to get out whoever the strongest person was at the time, because there was enough people I think we could have influenced them to be like, oh, hey, you know, you want to get these people out now, because later in the game they're going to be just too powerful. They're going to win everything. Get them the hell out now. Knock them down a peg or two. But it didn't happen.
I think that there's a case where either you or Cameron would have been voted out next. Like Mason and Cameron, you know, they were both Green Tribe. Maybe they would have worked together for the next vote. Ronnie and Ryan were there, and Ronnie, you know, had a vengeance against you. So maybe Ronnie would have influenced Mason and Ryan to also vote you out. He could have picked up Cameron and then maybe brought in Taylor and the other pink on that losing tribe. Then you had Nate, Mason, Ryan, and Ronnie, and probably Taylor all voting together. So it's like you, Breyer, and Cameron on the outs. How do you feel about that, looking on the outside in?
It is what it is. You know, if they can't hang with me, they can get my ass out. That's cool.
But you didn't give them the chance. Classic Cole style. If you didn't drop out, you would have won the whole thing. We already know.
I mean, I'm not going to say anything.
Is there anything that you do want to say to Abby?
To Abby? Yeah, I'm sorry for what happened. I ain't going to pretend like I lose sleep over it. But, I mean, I probably would have done it differently if I knew that, like, it would have affected my body as much as it did. But no one knew. No one's really had an amputee try to do that type of stuff before. So you're not going to know what waters you're navigating if you've never been in those waters. So I think it was a good learning experience for everyone. But ultimately, yeah, I'm sorry, Abby. But I hope there's no hate between there. But there is, and it's not on my end.
Nice. And, you know, we're getting letters all the time from fans to Survivor Durant. And we got this question in from Quack Pack Leader.
You son of a bitch, what?
The Quack Pack Leader wants to know, if you were to ever play the game again, how would you play it?
I think I would ask a lot more questions to whoever's running it first, and I would ask for more accommodations for my disability. That way I could put forth an actual game. But I don't really blame myself for not asking those things in the past, because I didn't even know that was important.
Yeah, we both didn't necessarily know what we was getting into. Like, I did try to design all the challenges with you in mind to make sure that whatever the challenge, it would be something that you could do. Mm-hmm. Or a part of the challenge that you could do, like we seen with that very first challenge. And when you're in the very first challenge and you've seen all the crap that was going on, all the things that you had to do in that first challenge, what did you think of that first challenge?
Man, I just felt bad for that one dude, whoever the hell it was that took forever to figure out the puzzle, that all the pieces were there, and it took him like an hour. I just felt bad for him the whole time. I'll be honest, I was just sitting there like, thank God that ain't me, because damn, I feel shit. I'd just be sitting there looking at it at that point.
So you don't even remember the guy's name, you just remember the crap that he did.
There's an old saying that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but they won't forget how you felt. I felt so damn bad for him. I felt like he was chewed up, spat out, and stepped on, That's what I felt like.
That was Cameron.
Cameron, God bless your heart, you're a good man.
And then he even went
that with more grace than I would have.
He even then went with you to the losing camp.
Yeah.
Did you forget that part?
No, his ass was there the whole time too. My ass, I was on the losing team too. Motherfucker, I was there too. I remember all them two-legged bastards walking around just fine at the losing camp.
Would you ever join the Quack Pack?
I don't know what the Quack Pack is. Depends if they have like snacks, I guess.
What kind of snacks?
Bro, all you gotta do is hang out with some Diet Coke and Cheetos and I'll show up.
What kind of snacks do you think the Quack Pack snacks on?
Probably some duck jerky or something, They sound like them real like they ducks, but they not,
Yeah.
So, I BS'd around with, the whole Cameron and Abby thing. Honest to God, I think they're really good people. And I wish nothing but the best for them. But when you're in the game, and things are a little different. Outside the game, they're lovely people. I, again, wish nothing but the best for them. I hope they have great careers, great lives, all that stuff. But in the game, it's just a little different, so I just hope there's no hard feelings.
Now, you're known for everyone seeing you as this nice and innocent guy, but deep down, you are...
Well, I'm rotten as a motherfucker. Let me tell you what.
Deep down...
The devil came up, took my leg, I went back down to give him a kiss, tell him come back later. That's what the hell it is.
What the hell? You are known as the Slick Daddy for a reason. What was your name in the first Survivor game? They called it the Kingpin.
The Kingpin, yeah.
The Kingpin.
I'm decent at... When I have to, I'm decent at talking and decent at pointing out things to people. And that tends to happen a lot with me getting other people to do what I want them to do without them really realizing it. Or it might be mutually beneficial and it just is a win-win all around. But I'm decent at planting seeds and watching what happens.
And you were good at that even before you played Survivor with one leg. Do you think that if you got the chance to actually play long term, that would have helped cover up how devious you are?
Oh yeah. Oh, I love getting sympathy from people. But I can't tell you how many times I've had people come up to me in Walmart or stores or whatever and be like, thank you for your service. I'm like, God damn, I wish I could just kick the shit out of you.
As a vet, thank you for the service.
Yeah, they're like I got blown up by some minor shit, and it's like, you don't know me from Adam, dude. Like, leave me alone. I think you get a lot of sympathy and a lot of empathy with it. I don't want to bring this thing all down or whatever, but people kind of forget that you're human. They look at you as like a situation has hit you and rendered you as less than, so you need more help than what able-bodied people can do. And I just look at it as like, shut the f*** up and let me do my thing.
Yeah.
Well, I got 5 toes or 10 toes. I still want to live a decently normal life and just do what I want to do. And I don't know, it's just really weird because people will kind of see you as less than, but also people will... Here's an example. Say I go rock climbing or whatever. It's a win-win for me. Because if I end up doing well, awesome, he can do it. If I end up doing bad, it's not on me. People are going to blame the prosthetic of why I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And that happens with a lot of things. That happens with things where the prosthetic leg isn't even a factor. Even things like talking to people. It'll be like, oh, you're an inspiration. Like, I'm an inspiration because I can move my mouth and talk a little bit. Or am I an inspiration because I just don't let one thing define me? Everyone has things that define them. It's just a matter of what you let define you. And I want my prosthetic and my amputation to be a part of my story. I do not want it to be my story.
Right.
With that, all that being said, it's also very easy to let it be my story and be smart and act dumb. So where people will show me those courtesies they wouldn't show if my disability was less visible. Because there are plenty of disabilities that you don't really see. This one's very hard to hide. I like to use it to my advantage when I can.
This disability, what is the biggest takeaway that you've learned from it? Do you think that there is like some sort of like silver lining to it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a silver lining to anything, I think. The silver lining with this is it's made me more independent. It's made me stronger. It has made me be able to relate to people that I would never have related to begin with. And it's also made me realize that some people you cannot relate to with certain things. Like, if you were to tell me, like, oh, yeah, I understand, the phantom pain and whatnot. I love you to death, but unfortunately you don't, And I think it's important to be able to make those distinctions that you can still care and not know, exactly what's going on. It's helped me quite a bit. It's also hurt me a lot a bit. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, it's great. Everyone should get amputated. Hell no, I don't wish you on my worst enemy. So you got to make the most out of it.
Cole, thank you so much for your time and enlightening us and going behind the mind with a 1 year later segment. Any final words to people out there listening?
Abby, I'm sorry for what happened. I hope you forgive me or whatever. Game's over, but I'd do it again probably. Probably not to her, because that'd be a little fucked up. But I'd do it to somebody. I don't give a damn, dude. This is a game.
Now we're going to jump to another segment and show some deleted scenes from the episode.
What are you on about?
All right, here we go.
How do you play with Gabe before?
Oh, yeah. He played with me one time.
Oh,
He stabbed me in the back.
Oh, let's go.
Love that. So, yeah, it was kind of wild because literally, I think the OG tribe that I was on, I didn't know Cole at all. And then both Abby and Gabe in the previous games have stabbed me in the back. I was like,
no.
Okay.
That's like one thing that's nice, I guess, coming into a new series is that nobody's stabbed me in the back, so I don't have any bad blood. But at the same time, I don't have any connections.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Give and take.
yeah. Doggy, what's his name?
This is Geo. Yeah, this is my second dog I adopted during COVID. And Geo is his name when he's being good, but it's short for Regina George when he's being a bitch.
No way.
Regina George from Mean Girls.
Yes.
So I say Geo gives me strength. That's my boy right there.
It's super cute. I have a cat named Ozzy.
Dustin, my partner, made us all socks for all our dogs for Christmas.
Oh.
So our plan was initially, we misunderstood how the voodoo worked, and to cover that, we were going to put a cleanse on Kirk so he couldn't protect himself. But it turns out, misunderstood. So we got that refunded. So we're just trying to go in with pure numbers at this point. If Kirk doesn't get picked, I think they're going to go for Briar, which was what we were talking about at first anyways. So it's kind of our second pick. So I think this is kind of a low risk in terms of me and the people I'm allied with this time around. But I think Kirk is a very experienced player who's very good at challenges. He's not going to be in the losing camp very often, so I think he is definitely our priority pick here.
Who's the person that you trust the most in this group?
Let's see, Shelby. She's been on my team. We worked together on our first council, and we all trusted each other, and we all voted together, and it all worked out. There's still so many people I haven't met, so it's hard to say who I trust the least. But within my own little alliance, I would say it'd have to be Jacobs, even though he's not here right now. I feel like he's the most likely to flip on us at some point. But I don't necessarily distrust him. Just within my circle, he's the one I trust the least. As far as the players in this camp, really everyone besides Shelby and Ronnie, I really don't trust at all here.
Basically just having to eliminate people that I don't necessarily trust. That's kind of what the whole Abby vote was about. My tribe was wanting to target Ronnie and Gabe on that vote in the beginning, and so I wasn't going to push too hard because I didn't want to get myself in hot water that early in the game, but I thought if I can get this vote switched to Abby, that'll be more beneficial for me because she definitely doesn't trust me, whereas I know Ronnie and Gabe do trust me in some capacity, and I trust them in some capacity. Probably Ronnie more than Gabe. But, so luckily Shelby felt the same way that I did about the Abby vote. So it was a little easier than what I thought it would be to kind of sway Jacobs and Cameron and Cole to that direction. Because definitely when we first got there, Jacobs was hardcore wanting Ronnie or Gabe. He didn't care which one, which wouldn't have been beneficial for me other than just surviving the vote. So it was a lot better to get rid of Abby to survive the vote and get rid of somebody that's never going to work with me. So just a number for other people off the board at that point.
No scheming over here. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I just talked to Cody and Ryan. Are you on the same page as him?
I think so. What page are y'all on?
Yeah. Is that who you're going with?
Yeah, that's the same page as us then.
Okay.
We'll just leave it at that.
Okay. That's all we need to say. Do what?
What she said to Boy. What she said.
Well, what did she say to you?
I thought you were
What she said. Oh, yeah, I was. Yeah, I'm good with that. I'll pretty much swing whichever way she wants me to swing because I'm kind of with her right now. So,
What is your opinion on Ronnie?
Ronnie, you know, he's really loyal. I originally had him ranked under Mason in my alliances, but I really think he's bumped up. I would take him longer than I take Mason. I have a Final Four deal going currently, but I'd like to see Ronnie go to Final 5, and then at that point, I can sway the Final Four so that Ronnie's in it. So yeah, I'd like to see Ronnie go to 5, and then if I could sway it so that Ronnie was in the Final Four instead of Dylan, puts the votes in my favor. Right now, I am working 4 different alliances through different people. So I'm just kind of keeping all those doors open. With everything shifting around so much, it's really nice actually, because a lot of people are getting a scoop on different things. And then I'm kind of getting like reports back from everything, which is really nice. So I'd like to just keep that going because I'm not riding anyone's ear except my like close 3, but I'm learning a lot and manipulating a lot, which is fun.
Can you quickly name the 4 different alliances?
So the core obviously is Edgar and I. My other main one is Jacus and I. Ronnie and I, and then the bottom one would be Mason and I. Mason, a little bit of a gamble, but I'm pretty sure it's there. As far as Taylor, she's supposed to be really good at puzzles. I haven't seen that come through yet. I've seen her lose 2 of the 3 puzzles she's done. But as a loyalty, I don't know, her and Edgar seem pretty tight, so maybe she could go pretty far. I don't think I would take her past 6, because at that point, I want to control more people than Edgar, so.
Because I think they want root bodies this round. That's what I really think's happening because all of us got so much stuff. And I don't want to play their game because I know they'll play into my face. Okay.
Yeah, it's just like obviously there's.
This is straight up the plan. This is all the job that's happened in the last like 12 minutes.
It just like really would ice me out because I don't have anyone in this game, so all I had was my starting tribe. And if I vote for Edgar and he doesn't go home, then I have nobody in this game anymore. So I need you to like.
Also is this was going to be Edgar.
Because I want to and I want to work with him. And I like Mason too. So it's just like, I just need to not be by myself. You understand where I'm coming from at least?
I definitely understand. I mean, I know, I'm the only silver back here. I got you.
Okay.
I understand.